For you walk any other categories?
Well, yes, I walked the old way, Vogan category as well, but my first actual category was face. I used to walk face, before I had left the scene, or whatever the case may be, to my drug addiction. That's why I left the scene, but, before I left the scene, my, category was Butch Queen face, and, I used to, like walk a little old way back then, but it was mainly, between face. That's what I won my first trophy for.
Okay, so
between face.
that's is that the first time you ever walked the ball?
Yes, it was between face. Yes, but I always wanted to get into bazaar, but I just never did. That was like a hot category for me. But back then, they still have punk rock versus bizarre, or punk rock versus futuristic, and I always found myself like amazed with that category. So when I came back on to the set, that's what I decided, to start walking, was bizarre. But yes, I've walked old way as well. I've walked more old way at Vogue nights. Of course, you know that they have Vogue nights here in New York, and
yeah, shout out to
when they have
Escalitas.
Say it again.
Yeah, shout out to Escalitas in New York City. The Vogue night.
Yeah, so when they have old way, normally I walk, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, it's more of bazaar now. That's what I like. I like the bazaar. I like being different. I just love being different. But they always say, I have a best friend that calls me Punky Brewster, and he tells me that I'm Punky Brewster because I wear all this. I like wearing a lot of colors or knick-knack stuff. Like I'll just throw stuff together to make it look nice. And so I decided to go for the bazaar, and when I decided to go for the bazaar was last year in April at the House of Omni Ball. I said, I'm going to go for it. When I seen the flyer and saw that they had it, I said, I want to walk bazaar. And I remember talking to my best friend. I was like, I want to walk bazaar. And that's what I did. I said I wanted to do it, and I pulled it off, not knowing whether I was going to win or not, because, sometimes when we walk these categories, there's still a part of us that, be nervous. Right, whatever the case may be. So I still have those times where I be nervous. I have times that I be nervous with a lot of stuff, but I walked.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been walking.
Well, you never know. Who else is coming. You don't get to see everybody's costumes, so of course you're gonna be nervous. Because you're creating a piece and you're hoping that it's gonna win, but then again, you don't know what you're up against still, so it is kind of nerve-wracking.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. What does it take to create a bizarre effect and piece to walk a ball?
Okay, it depends on, first of all, it depends on, what I like to go on is, first I look at the category, because sometimes categories is calling for a specific thing, and then sometimes it just tells you to just be creative, and depending on what it calls for, that's what that's how you come up with how you're going to bring the effect. Now, for me is I would sometimes I come up with a concept, or I'll have a vision of what I might want. Like, I might say that, because for me, I love walking with, I like using feathers, and I like skirts. Whether it's a long skirt, short skirt, but those be like visions that I have of me, and then I always see a vision of me like with a big headpiece on, because when they would come for like categories like that back in the days, you've seen big headpieces and these outstanding dresses and all that stuff. So I might say, okay, I want a headpiece.
Right.
And then where I go from there is I'll visualize how I want that headpiece to look out, or I'll visualize me in that headpiece. And my next thing is to come up with, okay, well, if you want this headpiece and you visualize it being like this, what color do you want it to be?
Right.
And once I come up with that vision in my head, then I could go onto how I want other parts of the outfit to look. Like I'll start from the head and visualize that, and I'll work my way slowly down to the whether it's going to be do I want a jacket? Do I want just a pullover piece? Or do I want a collar? And I just come up with all the concept like that, and then as time go by, you come up with what you want. Or this even happens sometimes. You could be somewhere, you could be walking and see something and decide that, you know what, I want to use this in my effect. You could come up with stuff like that. For me, it's all about I'll visualize something, right, and then I just go from there.
Right. All right.
But that's how it is basic for me. But I love colors. I mean, if the category calls for something else, if it calls for a certain type of bazaar, then I'm going to go with what the category is calling for. Right. But other than that, I like walking with colors. And of course, there's two bazaars. You have bazaar, spelled Bazaar, which means colors, and then you have bazaar, Bizarre, which is meaning like when someone looks at the outfit, they're looking and they be like, what the,
wow.
Just have a bunch of insanity going on in the outfit at one time.
I just learned that. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's different meanings to bazaar, and like I said, I like to go with what the category is calling for. So therefore, when you're judged on the category, there's no discrepancy, and because I see that it's ballroom panels, it's a lot of favoritism today. So, right. But if I'm going by what the category is calling for, and I see that you're judging, I wouldn't say unfairly, but when because a lot of people, I see a lot of tens just be given just because of the people's name or their credibility. But if it's calling for, and it's not to be shady or that I dislike anyone, because I don't dislike anyone. But if the category is calling for something, I'm going to go by that. Because we had this situation in August. I walked bazaar at the Heritage Ball, and grand prize was bazaar, and it was calling for you have found Angela Davis Afro wig collection. What will you create? So that means that you have to create the outfits out of hair, right? And one of the components, they didn't have hair in their outfit. And before they even, the outfit was nice, but the judges threw their tens up to the individuals as they were walking. And I had to let it be known that the category is calling for hair,
Right.
And fortunately, the scores end up changing after the person who was given the ball had to read what was on his flyer. But in a situation like that, that's how
Right, you got to pay attention to the category and to the flyers, the way how they put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now let me ask you another question.
Okay.
You're legendary, right?
Yes.
Red Era. Shout out to Red Era, by the way. What is the delay on your deeming of icon?
Say it again.
What is the delay on you being deemed icon?
Because of what I think is, you know what? I try not to get caught up. First of all, I'm still learning as I go along because I told you I had left the scene and came back.
Right.
So I see, from what I'm seeing, I see that rules have changed. I do know you have to have like a certain amount of years to become icon. I don't know whether that consists of how many years you have walked. I don't know whether it's how many years you have been in the scene. But I do know there's a lot of debating going on right now about these status situations. So
yeah, there's a big whole controversial thing going on with it. How do you feel about the whole legendary status thing, first of all?
For me?
Yes. How do you feel about the whole legend status?
If I had to sum it up, I would love it to stay exactly where it is, the legendary. I like that. I like hearing that better than I like hearing icon. Yes. Because I remember them screaming out the legendary so and so back in the day, and it's just something about when they say legendary. I love the way it sounds.
Word. Yeah, it's like a golden word. You know what I mean? Legendary.
Yeah,
icon
I
is
love
like,
the way it sounds.
Okay, girl, you like the star of the show and stuff, but are you legendary?
To me, it really does. I mean, it's all good or whatever the case may be. But when I came back, I wasn't even thinking about this legendary or icon status or Hall of Fame. I was coming back, or I came back for the fun of it, because once again, when I talk about my drug addiction, that took away a lot of stuff. And when I learned about the ballroom scene, that was fun for me. It was fun for me. And so when I came back to have fun, basically. Despite the negativity and the favoritism and the not judging fairly nowadays, I still came back regardless. You understand? For the fun of it.
Right.
But what that teaches me, because of this favoritism stuff, that makes me work even harder. Like when I walk Bazaar, I'm not really so focused on this old way no more, because my bones they starting to give out on me. You know, we're gonna keep that a secret, but they starting to give out on me. So you know, I wanna focus, like I'm focusing on the Bazaar for now, and there may be a possibility that I may switch up at sometimes, but I'll let it be a surprise if I decide to switch up.
Yes.
But that's where I'm focused at right now, the Bazaar, and I'm not really concerned about this status thing, because there's too much funny stuff going on.
Takes the fun out of it.
I call it a bunch of buffoonery. Like I've seen some of it written on Facebook, and when I see it, I just keep scrolling. Like, I don't need to get caught up in responding to that, because everybody nowadays, there's different opinions. Everybody have their different opinions,
right,
or whatever the case may be. So it's just starting a big controversy, in which is not what we need. This controversy, we need to try to bring more unity. There's not enough unity now. And that's what needs to be brought back, unity. And that's with our generation, or I'm going to say my generation. I'm going to keep it on the I. That's with my generation and the new generation. There needs to be more unity,
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you said you walked phase. That was your first category, right? You won?
Uh-huh.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won. I'm going to call on my hand that I won face, that I recall 3 times.
Word.
I won Butch Queen face twice, and I won Models Magazine face with pictures. You had to walk with pictures. I came in. I didn't win grand prize for the with pictures. I did win first place, because back then you had grand prize in first place.
All right.
And,
whatever happened to that, by the way?
Well,
We ain't gonna talk about that.
with time, things change. With time, things change. You know, you see more people wanting to evolve.